bit, show it with a partner, get you to bugger off and get sweaty and smelly again, work it with a partner, and then bring it back, because there's only one dummy. It's kind of mobile, kind of flexible, kind of rotates, and kind of not one I'm used to working on, but at the end of the day, that shouldn't matter. I'm just going to work on probably the first section, but everything we're going to do is working with a partner rather than getting you to actually drill the dummy. If there's an odd number out, who wants to go on it, that's great. Background for you is very simple, a bit like Paul, I guess, except for a lot more handsome and speaks slower. Don't smell quite so much. It's true. True, isn't it, Paul?
Yeah.
Fantastic. So, kind of big shoes to fill, so I'm having to pad it out here. My background was I worked in close protection for nearly 18 years. In fact, I still do, but nowhere near to the level I used to do. I actually did Shokan karate as an 11-year-old to 17-year-old, and no disrespect to the style that I was doing, but I kind of got disillusioned for it. And I got disillusioned for it because A, I wasn't good enough, and there's no, and that was the biggest problem, wasn't the teacher, what started with me. And secondly, it didn't suit what I was doing. I was working out in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. I was working in close protection for a family. We carried firearms. And if somebody went to the ultimate level of the work that I was doing and posed a threat to my principal, I was expected to deal with the problem. And if you're carrying a 9mm Browning, you don't go into washigeri and stuff like that. You tend to want to slot on and slow them down a little bit quicker. The problem I had is, while I was doing all that, I was doing a little bit of close protection unarmed combat training, but it was all based around what I'd done. And what I found is, for me, and I will emphasise it is for me, it didn't work. Because the idea of working at a distance, somebody coming towards you and waiting for them to get there when I knew they were a threat, what was the point? I've got a very hearty little friend on here that could have a little conversation all of its own and was quite poignant in the message it was going to carry. The problem I had is if I was walking down one of the mountains or something and suddenly somebody got to here before they started getting aggressive verbally or presented a threat, what was I going to do? Somebody gets to me at this range, the idea of trying to come up here it just wasn't the right tool for the toolbox that I required. So I met this guy, a little Chinese guy, and he was like, oh yeah, so you do karate? And I'm like, yeah. He went, that wasn't the subtlety I was expecting. And he went, no, I don't mean as a martial art. I mean, for what you do now, it's not the right tool. So I'm like, why? Because defensive as you go, why not? He said, well, so he stood here. And he said, well, my weapon's always on my hip. I never carry it there. If it's in the Americans, they're carrying films here. You go for your weapon there. You're going to trap it here, you're going to get hit. Always carry it. Anyway, by the way, I went for that and hit me on the nose. Now, the lesson that you take from this is when a man can do that, don't say, I bet you can't do that again. But that's aside. So it kind of made me start to think, what the hell? And I didn't know what Wing Chun was. I didn't know whether it came with a bag of chips on number 4 on the recipe or, I've no idea what it was. Didn't make it so. He was like, oh, I did Wing Chun. So am I impressed? I have no idea. But I was impressed by the move. It was fast. It was furious, it was decisive, hurt like hell, and he was holding back. And it suddenly went, hell, I can do that in the range that I haven't got. So that was my introduction to Wing Chun. And I then started training Wing Chun purely for the combat, street self-defense, well, not even street self-defense, the protection of others, which is different to protecting yourself to a degree. Bottom line is, I've always kept that going. So when I start doing forms, I don't look at the form as anything other than the toolbox of enhanced fighting techniques. When I look at the wooden dummy, it's the same thing. I don't train the dummy for the sake of the dummy. I train the dummy and then I try and walk away from the dummy and go, right, what's that giving me? Is it giving me structure? Is it giving me? It's a partner that trains with you 24/7. It never gets tired. It never tries to sue you when you've dealt it. It can take everything you can give and more. And it doesn't move out of the way, which is bloody marvellous. Unlike opponents. Disadvantage is, it doesn't move out of the way. You've done it back. It's a piece of wood. So it is what it is. It's a tool that you're going to work with. The idea of training with a dummy is to make sure that when you train on it, you're taking something from it that's going to be valuable outside of training in a classroom with a dummy. So that's what I want to play with today. What does the dummy give you? Okay? Do a little bit of verbal first while you digest your sandwiches, otherwise you'll be throwing up cheese and onion everywhere. That's not attractive. And then we'll get you with a partner and we'll start working with it. If what I say doesn't make sense, ask. Okay? I will then tell you why you're wrong, because I'm from Yorkshire and I'm always right, and then we'll have a conversation. So, the wooden dummy. What is it? Well, if you've got the leg the wrong way up, it's a sex toy. And if you're doing that... And you may laugh, I have walked into a martial arts school where the leg was up the other way, and how pleased did they look? I'm not quite sure what they were going to do with it, I didn't stay long to find out. Okay, it basically is supposed to represent the person. If you meet this person in the street, run. I'd be very scared, very, very scared. So, what is it? In essence, I've got here, when somebody throws a punch, here, they tend to be most powerful from punching in front of their shoulder, here, through to being most powerful by punching in front of that shoulder. So this punch is powerful from here to here. As soon as you start taking the arm outside the line of the shoulder, then you start punching outwards, your pecs and your lats start stretching, your scapula starts meeting in the middle and lump together and getting really upset with you. It doesn't work very well. As soon as you start punching beyond the shoulder, across the body like this, it all gets too tight to manoeuvre. So your best punch is somewhere from in front of that shoulder to in front of that shoulder. And if you don't believe me, find out, test it, prove me wrong. Look at the focus a minute. This punch tends to be powerful from here to here. Okay, so the best firing line you've got, the most powerful firing line in front of you is there. And if I do it that way, you can see where the wooden dummy starts to come in. Because that's the firing line that you're working around, and this is the zone that I want to practice working either inside here, dealing with the problem, or moving to the side of it and evacuating from the problem, and coming in an alternative angle. The middle one can be anything. It could be an uppercut, it could be a rib, it could be a knee, it could be a kick, it could be whatever your brain decides it is that's coming in to around here, whether it's rising, falling, or driving. Doesn't matter. It could be pulling. Okay? And the leg, well, it's a leg forward, it's somebody steps in, it's somebody kicking, somebody hits the land, it's whatever your brain is. The most powerful tool you have is carrying around inside the skull and put it up here. Okay? That's your best tool, because your imagination is brilliant. How many of you have never had a dream in your entire life? Exactly. We dream about things, we create scenarios. Your brain is a wonderful tool. And when I'm teaching Wing Chun, we tend to train outside the classroom as often as we can. We tend to do it scenario based. You know, you get out of the car and 3 guys come up behind you, what are you going to do about it? You're walking out of a room, you open the door, there's 3 people approaching you, how are you going to deal with the problem? Everything we do is scenario based because that's how your brain tends to react and remember best. So, with this, we're going to try and do the same thing. We're going to do it on a wooden dummy, but we're going to do it into a scenario example, and then you're going to work it yourselves. So, overview of the wooden dummy. These 2 arms here represent something like this. This can be here and here and here, and this can be a kick or a step or a lead. That's what you're looking at, and you're working around the problem. A lot of people like to hit the crap out of it. Okay? Good for you. The words bone cancer always kind of come out of my head when I think about that. You can hit it hard if you like, but I don't know what you think you're going to get from it. Because you spend all of your time trying to learn about all this sensitivity and how you understand about energy and all the flows of energy and the change in muscle structure, and then you knock shit out of this to the point where you've deadened your entire arms and all that goes to that shit. Doesn't make any sense. So hitting this hard is not what it's about. Putting energy into it and understanding how you use your elbow structure and posture, that is. The simplest way to describe the dummy, do you remember the old school protractors, the half circles that with all the lines on that you're supposed to measure the angle of the lines on a bit of paper? Basically, that's what this is. This is a protractor. It is to help you find the lines of attack and lines of defence. Okay? So there are 4 keys to Wing Chun. I know I'm teaching you subjects and I apologise for that. I'm teaching you stuff you already know. Position, energy, reflex and technique. Technique is a bomb lap, pax out entry, it's a technique, whatever it is. So here, a simple technique is pax out entry. Okay? You can see it, you can film it, you can play it back, you can YouTube it, God help us, and you can copy it, and hopefully over a period of time you can emulate that technique to 60%, something like that. A technique is visible, you can watch it, you can copy it, you can do it, you can be on the other end of it, and you get all the sensory information you need to be able to practice it to a degree. Okay? So that's what a technique is. Reflex is slightly different. Reflex is when I'm here, and he does his pax out entry, and I counter it. Okay? Watch it again, and then I counter. Watch it again, and then I counter. You can see my reflexes. Watch it back on the video, you can see it. But it's one step removed from being tangible. How do you copy a reflex, even if you know what I'm doing? It's all about what I feel and the timing and the muscle reactions and what I'm doing about it. So, reflex is a little bit more difficult. Energy. When I'm here and it's a pax out, I'm using a little bit of elbow energy. I'm not moving an awful lot. So let's be honest. Okay? Let's be 100% honest. Some of you are going, just making a lot of noise, there's no energy there. Because you've no idea whether what he was doing was powerful or it was just... I can move with one hand. I can make a lot of noise making it look like I can do a lot of work. Energy is again one step removed. You have no idea whether it's actually doing anything or not. So with reflex you can all see it, but with energy the only person that gets it is him, because he feels the result of it. All the rest of you just have to hope you're not being conned. Position is the hardest of all. When a punch comes in here and I'm here, it's why I'm stood here at this moment in time. Okay? It's why I've stepped this come out step, this width, this angle, and this range. And it breaks down into several little things. Okay? Position is a combination of the distance from a person or a dummy, we're going to use a person, but distance from somebody, your angle to that person, and the amount of rotation around them. So 3 ingredients. So when a punch comes in here, and I get to here, Jason's going to hurt you a lot more than it's just hurt me. It's just hurt me, so that's what you're. Okay, so I'm stood here. It's why I've stepped to where I've stepped. Okay, so what I've done is I've chosen a distance that I know is far enough across that he can't walk this back fast enough. Yeah. That's his chin, by the way, just because you're not sure. I can touch him and hit him. It's the angle I've chosen to make sure that this can reach, but I haven't lost the reach of this hand. And it's the amount of rotation I've done from here to get around here, so I'm so far away from the hand I'm not too concerned with it immediately. So on the dummy, this is what he's trying to help you learn. Now the problem is, every time Jason punched, he's in a unique place. Every time I step, it's in a unique place. How do I learn that when there's no consistency? Well, this is my consistency. If the dummy doesn't move, or very little, not enough to worry about. So if every time I step I'm in a different place, my fault. It's me that's wrong. But because it's in the same place, I can repetitively drill it until eventually I get it right. And there are little keys in the wooden dummy. For example, from here to here. On the jong, when you step, on the bottom, the palm, here, that's one of the little checklists for position. It assumes that my posture, it assumes that my time sound, and my techniques that I'm utilising right, otherwise I shouldn't be allowed on the damn thing. But what it does is it takes me from here through to here. If you take those ingredients about position, which are distance from, angle to, and amount of rotation, there is only one position for me on this jong that's correct, and that's there. If my, let's say start the range, if my distance was wrong, at the moment I've got 3 points of contact, my heel, or my ankle here, my tarsal, and my palm. If my distance is wrong, I will start to lose one of those points of contact. If my angle is wrong, I will start to lose 1 point of contact. Or if my rotation is wrong, I will start to lose 1 point of contact. There can only be one position for me on that dummy that's correct. And that's what I want. I want to learn the correct position for this. Now that doesn't teach me how to deal with a flailing lunatic who can fly out immediately, but there is a lot of judgment perception, visual perception, spatial awareness goes on. Okay? And you probably don't realise how natural your spatial awareness is. How many of you drive a car? How many of you still got wing mirrors on the left-hand side? Hasn't fallen off, been knocked off yet? Yeah, so you've got decent spatial awareness. You drive down a road and you see a gap, and even though you're sitting on this side of the car and your mirror's all the way over there, through a little bit of experience, you tend to get to the point where you know how wide your car is. And you tend to start going, oh, I can get through, that'll be fine. Okay? And I'm the same. And then I decided to take my family to Florida, and the silly sod sat me on this side of the car. Oh, this mirror was completely safe, there was no danger of that. That one over there, which I'm not used to doing the distance of, oh man, it was hard work going through traffic. And my spatial awareness wasn't working for me because I wasn't familiar with it. Okay? But most of us, we can judge how wide your car is, how far the wing mirrors are, and you get through gaps that, you know, your passenger's going, really, you don't be doing this, and you go, that's fine, because you're familiar with it. And this teaches you the same thing, distance spatial awareness. Okay? So that's really, these are the things that we're going to try and get out of the dummy. I'm going to try and get your partner working, so I'm not going to teach you what we've done before. Okay, so I'm just going to pick slices of it for now. Okay, and then we're going to keep dipping in and out of a little bit of energy, a little bit of structure, a little bit of shape, a little purpose behind it. But rather than you sitting down there, because I think you're cheesing on your sandwiches down here now, so you're looking reasonably better. So the very simple first one we're going to play with is the ball to the tarn. Okay. Now on the jong, you stick to the dummy, and you stick to the dummy because the idea is when you find it, you control it, you apply pressure into it, you drive energy into it, and you have resistance structure in your body. All we're going to do with the partner is very simply keep picking up a little movement of that, and keep it nice and simple, have a little bit of fun, try and train with somebody you've never trained with before, because we all tend to stick in our little cliques. You know, if my badge matches yours, it's a good place to be. If it doesn't match yours, I'm a bit like, oh, I don't know who you are. Well, you're never going to know who you are unless you mix and match. So, in a minute when you pair up, we've got 3 rules. If you remember from last time, we've always got 3 rules. I'm struggling to think of the third one, but we'll get there. The first one is, don't train with somebody you know. Okay? What's the point? You're familiar with their hands, and they might move the same way that you've been taught. Maybe train with somebody you don't know. This is a fantastic opportunity to widen the circle of your friends. Secondly, don't then pair up with somebody and not know their name. You bloody introduce yourself. What's the matter with yourself? Get over it. Hi, my name's so-and-so. Nice to meet you. What's your name? Ooh, where do you train? Brilliant. Now we've got over the niceties and we know each other, let's train. Okay? And 3, keep it safe. When you're training, you're drilling in. Yeah, there's always these people that come in. Bam! Look how hard I can hit. You've got to remember the golden rule. It's their turn next. There's your bridge. Punch comes in again. You can cover it and cover it round. So from the first, a little bit of contact point. Second, move out of the way. Best block in the world is what?
Not to be there.
Move. That's why you've got feet, not to keep your Nikes on apparently. Okay? So remember, when they're going to hit you, they're going to aim towards you. So don't train with a partner that aims to miss. Okay? They're the best opponents in the world. They just only exist in your brain and in a stupid classroom. So the punch comes in here. Best block in the world. Get out of the way. Okay? I've made point of contact. Now, in classical classroom training, you're going to a bomb that packs that punch. In the real world, that's there for a split second before they realise they've missed, and they still want to cave your face in, so they're not going to stop. What's stopped them? You know, if I've got time to go from here to here, chances are that's already travelling, and it's going to cause me a little bit of an issue. And it's not nice when you get hit in the face, as I found out in Saudi Arabia and other onwards. So I get out of the way and I find. Bomb south for me is just a finder. Okay? If he punches and it's pitch black, to try and get hold of his hand is a guess. If he punches and I do that, I know where it is. That's the purpose of bomb south. It's just a finder. You do the best block in the world, you shift, okay? And you can guarantee the next punch is coming, okay? Unless they've got one arm, in which case you hit them. But the chances are they're going to want to hit you again. And they're not going to punch over here, because they know you're going to step. Because if they could do that, they might as well hit you with a crystal ball they've obviously got to know where you're going to be. I'm here, so when they punch, they're going to be here, so I then just redirect the force. What I'm looking to do is, first of all, position myself and reposition, and that just comes straight from the dummy. Secondly, use common sense. Could be coming in, that could contain a bottle, it could contain a glass, it could contain anything you like. Get the bloody hell out of the way, fine. You know, and then as it comes in again, reposition yourself. And you know, maybe I'm going to reintroduce his floating rib into his lung, because they're quite close anyway. You know, just stick it in there a little bit, let them gurgle a bit, let the air drain and the liquid go in. Let them worry themselves rather than be bothered about me. Okay? From here, there's the bridge, there's the bridge. That's all I want you to do. Keep it simple, keep it fun. What I'm doing, I'm making sure I've got range, power, so I could drive really powerfully. I'm training, so I'm just going to touch him on his ribs, nothing more than that. I'm controlling his elbow because that controls his fist. Don't block it out here because the elbow can come in, and don't block it here because the pivot will just whack you on. Control him here, and look where his stance is. I'm aiming in between. Okay, his testicles are already in retreat. They're already like, you know, chaps when you shave and you go like that. Well, his testicles are kind of doing the same thing. They're going, oh, I don't like where I am. It's an obvious target. It's so obvious. I'm kind of assuming you don't need to go there. But there's my contact point. If you then want to follow it through, by all means, follow it through. Okay, stick your thumb in his eye and see if you can take his. Ooh, contact there. Nice. Move back a bit. So you can follow it through, but be nice, because the golden rule number 3 still applies. It's their turn next. And do you know the benefit of teaching? It ain't his. Here's the first. There's the second. From there, yes, I can whip. Yes, I can gouge. Yes, we can have a conversation. Yes, I can feel your contact lenses. Yes, they're not mine. Okay, we can have a discussion. Be nice. Feel free to follow it through. Feel free to have that little conversation, but feel free to put them into a control point if you want to. Don't, however, lose any element of what could be practicality. If it works in here, that's great. Is it going to work out there in the pissing rain when it's slipping and gravelly and horrible? You know? If yes, great. If no, don't bother doing it. Punch comes in, there's the first, there's the second. That's all I'm going to get you to do. Me personally, just to give you flavour, I would come slamming in behind the mandible, rip his neck, because I know that that punch isn't coming anywhere. Can't throw a punch if you're about to break your own neck. Kind of loses the point. Okay? I'm going to turn him and I'm jamming the elbow behind the spine, so yes, I could take the nice thing for him, of course, see the direction of his head. When I do kick him in the nads, you're going to know where there's fine. I can still put the back of the knee. Okay? I'm putting pressure down on the spine, which means he's not moving well. I've got control of the neck joint here. My fingers are well back, because if it was me, I'd be biting, so I'm assuming you do try and do the same. Okay? And then I could kneel in the spinal column, I can stamp on the back of the knee, kick him in the nads, or I can just gouge him in the eye, or I can just smash him onto the concrete. If this was outside, a nice simple gun style down, and, well, we won't bother following through, because we're friends. So, on the John, you drill to here. Palm, palm, palm. And as a drill, you want to be drilling that a lot. With a partner, got you? Nice and slow, nice and simple. Give me a punch. All you're going to do is a box out. Okay? He's going to punch here, you're going to evacuate, best block in the world, move, and you're just going to show them the position. You're not going to show them how tough you are, how hard you can hit, because otherwise he's going to come back and go, well, actually, I'm tougher than you, and it's my turn next. And you're going to look for controls. Okay? And here I'm controlling the elbow, so I know that that back fist, whatever it may contain, can't come this way easily. To retract that hand, I'm going to have an 8-inch warning before he gets his fist behind mine, so that's going to travel that distance way before that travels that distance. I've got a smash in the ribs, which would be a punch or a hit or an elbow or whatever you envisage it to be, to here. Okay? You've taken across their balance centre, so they're going to be falling away from you if you don't actually. And if they do fall down, step in and step on the. No, you can't do it in a classroom. Don't stand on those mats. You know, think about it. Okay? And my tarsile's towards his eyes, because I don't want him headbutting me, because I'm from Leeds, trust me, it would happen. Okay? So don't do a tarsile there and then wonder why your nose is over your ears. Get your tarsile towards their eyes, so if they want to step in the headbutt, they can't. Or if they can, it's more painful for them than it is for you. Okay? And if you then, from there on, want to explore, feel free. Your explanation could be, what could I do? Or your exclamation could be asking your partner, well, what would you do from here? Show me. I'm not going to let you do that. You might uppercut.
In fact, I want to try and put them around the side and come over.
Just do it slowly and show me, because this is all about learning. So he shows me what he might do next. And the reason we're doing it slowly, when he does do it, it allows me to think about my responses. Okay, so once you get into the position that we've got to, don't think that's the end. Go one step further. Always ask your partner, well, from the position I put you in, what could you actually do? As opposed to, what have I been told to do? Because that's where people always go wrong in training. So if I punch, you're going to do a box out. Okay? Here's the front, first. You're going to do the tarsile. There's the second. Put the palm in the rib. It's okay, I've lost more than one, it's cool. Okay? So from here, now, what I'm doing is, tough shit. Oh, don't you? I wish you'd thought about that one the first time. You know? As your karate partner, any of your karate friends will now be going, yeah! And you'd be like, nice. So from here, what I'm looking at, well, I noticed his tarsile was out, so I'd want to come to the centre line. To me, you'd open the centre line up. I'd probably headbutt you. But you can go about there. For me, on my personal journey, I'd just come here. And I'd just be coming upwards, using the rising punch from Chun. No, I'd be smashing grooves. From here. So I'd be coming into here, something like that. But this is where your journey starts. This is your template. Do the template and then explore one step. Any questions? Piss in it, That's Chinese for. Off you go.